The driveway runs in this direction, and these 3 plants are planted also in that direction, which is a little bit north of west, south of east. The driveway provides a route for a path for the sun to come down during the morning, and it will hit the ground along all 3 of these plants, all the way back up to, all the way back up to the 3rd plant.
That is awesome because, you know, morning sun is the best, east facing, we know in certain places. If there's ever a drought problem for the trees, it's really nice to have the sun in the morning.
I've tried really hard to make sure that all the plants, all the torreys that I put in the ground here, get at least 2 or 3 hours of sunlight a day, not afternoon sunlight.
Okay, head on up there.
This one is another 2013, as are the other 2. And this is more robust than the other 2013s. It's not a whole lot taller, but it is more robust. It does have a terminal shoot, about 1 inch long, and 4 brand new lateral leaflets on a whorl. Those buds were set last fall, and they're coming out now. The whorl, and that internodal distance is probably about 4 inches, not very much. The internode down below it is a tiny bit shorter than that. The whorl of branches below it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus some more that go down. And we have 1 basal sprout, 2 basal sprouts, 2 basal sprouts.
Okay, excellent. Okay, continue on.
Let's walk up a little more. This one is not doing well. I don't know what's wrong here. It could well be that it's just too dry.
Yeah.
The driveway is here. We have a bank here. The water table is probably down 6 or 8 feet.
Oh boy.
The problem, you can see it's a weird green. It's not a healthy plant.
Right, and you do not give this any supplemental water. You did when you planted it, but you haven't done it since.
I did come back in later with a little bit extra dolomite on the off chance that was the problem. I gave it some more organic fertilizer, but nothing seems to be working.
Whoa, now what's interesting here is I don't see any new growth. That looks like just old last year's growth hanging in. Can you touch those needles and see if
there's a little bit of new growth on this branch tip.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's just hanging in. You know what would be an interesting experiment? I don't know whether you could do it, but maybe. But if you dug it up and planted it somewhere else and see if it recovered.
Well, the other one was able to handle that transplanting pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I think I'll try that.
Yeah. So what we can learn here is basically, you know, there is a creek over there, and this is pretty darn steep and dry here. And I don't see a lot of other. There's no understory here. This is just...
Not much. There's a dogwood.
Was this an old logging road or something in here?
I'm sorry?
Was this an old logging road, this area?
Yes, this was an old logging road.
Okay, because what we found over at the Waynesville, Chuck and Sarah's place, it was pretty obvious where some logging roads were, and we planted 4 in the course of one right at the get-go, and they went out right away. Now, what's unusual here, you just kind of look around, okay? This area is thick. This is an east-facing slope. Waterfalls is up there somewhere. But, I mean, just look at this, the understory. Completely, totally thick this time of year, May 27th, 2016. Now, when I swing over to here, Michael's sitting by Julian Huxley. Notice what we have here. I think this is an old logging road or skid road or something from the logging time here. But we're just missing, it's not really suitable for other things to grow. That it's not good soil, it's been crushed, or something's going on there. So if you're planting in forest and you don't have any understory growing, you know, there's no hyacinths, there's nothing going in, something's wrong. There should be other things capable of growing. So
the last one I'll show you is just uphill.
Okay.
This one probably gets less sunlight than any of the others. It's further up in the forest. I didn't really think it would do well with all this shade, but thought I'd give it a fair trial. It has no terminal growth for this year. The 4 branches on the last year's whorl each has about a ½ inch of new growth.
Yeah.
The internodal distance under it is 2 inches, very short. The whorl underneath it is 3 or 4, none of which have any new growth on them. I see no basal sprouts. There's a little bit more plant diversity right here. There's a wild species of, I think, blueberry.
I don't like Ericaceae. See, the thing that I get concerned about is this late in the spring. There, I don't see any trilliums. I don't see any Solomon seal. I don't see any hepatica. I just don't see any hyacinth. I don't see any cohosh. There's nothing here, and I'm suspicious that maybe this logging road. It's like
But it's that way away from the road.
Yeah, what's wrong with the forest here? What's the problem?
I've always just been suspecting it's too shady.
Oh, let's take a look up. Well, we got pure deciduous here, except for a white pine. What do you see in the canopy
There's
here?
actually a lot of white pine in here.
Oh,
if you start looking around and walk in a circle, you can see them. Pine is probably 40–50% of the canopy.
Okay. Is that a yellow buckeye or a hickory? Right there.
Right there is a black gum.
That's a Nissa, black gum.
That's a Nissa. Now here's a southern red oak, Quercus falcata.
Okay. Any whites in here? Any white oak?
Yes, there are whites. Look for the rough part. That's a red oak. That's a sourwood. This is a white oak.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is interesting. See, we're at a. Well, I don't know. Do you have any part of your forest where you've got trillium and?
No.
How come?
I think it's too much shade, but I don't know.
What's wrong?
Well, okay, a little history.
Okay.
This land, I believe, was clear cut somewhere around 80 to 90 years ago based on tree ring counts.
Okay.
Nothing seems to be older than about 90 years old.
Okay.
If it was clear cut, not selectively high graded, if it was clear cut, then the rhodies and the mountain laurel would have all come up at the same time as all these trees.
Yeah.
There would have been a huge amount of shade, 99% shade maybe on the ground.
Yeah.
It's hard for things to come up.
Yeah.
This is also an acidic hillside, which is not real good for plants. You can even see some rock coming out just over here, out of the ground. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch this. This is just a very interesting. I've just been working up in some areas where it's like trillium, poison oak, maidenhair ferns, other kinds of fern. I mean, it's just cohosh, blue and black, Solomon seal. I mean, just witch hazel, everything. I mean, yeah, the history might have done something here. Okay, well, let's continue looking, and then we can do a kind of a final analysis because you've got some really healthy ones up there, and just the last couple are real iffy. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that later. Let's finish off the tour of all of them. Before we finish off with Buford Pruitt's Torreas, I'd like to insert something here about a conversation that Buford and I had after I was through with the videography about what might have happened to his forest historically. It wasn't just the clear cutting, but because this was near a valley bottom and the slopes were so gentle, the settlers here probably ran livestock, could have been cattle, for decades and decades, overgrazing and eating up all the seed stock that had been in the soil, so nothing could come back in, possibly stomping it down and other things in there, maybe erosion going on as well. So our assessment is that it was probably not just the clear cutting, because a lot of places, including the Waynesville site that I showed, Sarah and Chuck's land there, that's full of trillium and hyacinth and so forth, very moist too. Definitely clear cut, but it was so steep in Waynesville that very unlikely, and so high up the mountain, it's very unlikely that anyone tried to live there, and certainly didn't run cattle there. So anyway, that's a hypothesis. This forest is having troubles, probably because of previous land use. Now back to the rest of the inventory in Brevard, North Carolina. All right, there's the house up there, and the first one that we did was up in that area, and a little later we did those, and the second group we did were in here, but we forgot to come over and do this one. So we're gonna do this torrey now. Buford, talk to us about what we've got here.
This is another 2011, and it's pretty robust. You can see it has a terminal spike that's about 3 inches long.
Wow, that's new growth this year.
That's 3 inches of new growth this year. And
wow.
The first whorl is 4, and each of the 4 has, well, this one has 4 new, 3 new, and 2 new branchlets. The next whorl down is about 5 inches internodal distance, and it almost looks like 2 whorls scrunched together, but I think that's all one, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 branches. The next one down is about 5 branches, and it's only about 1.5 inches long. And the one down from there,
it's huge.
Shoot, that is that's a good 7-inch internodal distance.
And what's how many branchlets on that bottom whorl there?
That bottom whorl has 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. The whorl itself has 4. Immediately underneath it are 2 more.
Yeah.
I would say 4. Okay.
Okay, 4.
And the others were probably just from the original growth.
Right. So this is the from the 2011 harvest. And again, what's your rate at the 2010? You just had 1 of the 10 come up. And was that after its first winter or its second winter?
Second.
Okay. And your 2011, how many did you have come up? Oh, you had them come up over a sequence of years, right?
Had them come up over a couple of years, and I believe I only had 10 seeds that year, and 9 of them germinated.
After the second winter?
All told.
All told. Yeah, because I looked at, I'll go on the web page and I'll put a text overlay here. I think you had like 5 or so, or 3 after just 1 winter. You have had some germination after just 1 winter, right?
From that second crop, yes.
Yeah.
Not from the first, and I don't believe from any other.
Okay, because that's really important to know. So this one here, this probably, since you planted it this close to the house, this was probably one of the ones from the first, after the first winter, so this would have sprouted in 2012, right?
Yes.
And so here it is, 4 years later. Anyway, this is certainly the tallest of the terminal new growth this year. We've only had one other that already put out the green splendor of the terminal growth going for height. Yeah.
There's a good-sized basal sprout.
Oh.
This is probably the best basal sprout on the property.
Okay, let me see if I can get a view of that.
It's about 10 inches long.
Really?
And it has new growth on most of its branches. This one has 3 pieces of new growth.
Yeah, keep it held out there. I want to see what its terminal looks like. Anything coming out of the terminal on it, or is it just going side branches?
It's all going sideways.
Okay, so it's just going for photosynthesis, and it's doing what basals do. They hang out, they wait, and if something goes wrong with the main stem, they'll take over. Boy, that's beautiful. Yeah, so give me some context here. What do we got here around us?
Similar forest what you've seen before. We have white pines, white oaks,
And what's this right here? Oh, this is a mountain laurel, and it's in flower.
Mountain laurel in flower. That is a southern red oak.
Okay, right in the center there. Oh, and a sourwood to the right in here. And then this is a white oak right by the wood pile.
No, this one is a Lirio dendron.
Oh, yay! Liriodendron. Yes, yes, yes.
There's a chestnut oak in there. That is the only chestnut oak on the property other than this little tiny seed.
Where is the chestnut oak? Because I want to get to learn that bark of a chestnut. Okay.
It's not at all like a white or a red.
No, not at all.
Matter of fact, there's a few little seedlings if you want to take one home with you.
No, I don't have a home. Okay. All right. Oh, and then we got white maple. Pines. We got white pine. What's it? Oh, red maple. Look at this. We got a red maple on this side of the Torrey, and we've got a Liriodendron over there, and both of them have the same mycorrhizal fungi. So this nice growth on here. This Torrey looks happy, and look, even now it must be about 2. Look at the dappled, little bit of dappled, slight sun on there. You can see bits of sun coming through here. So off and on, it would get some sun, but it's the point south. Where's south?
South is about that way.
Okay, okay. And so it's got all this shading here. I'll give a thing straight up so you can see the canopy here.
Yeah.
All right. And then that opening there is because of the driveway. So there's a big white pine there, but there's the driveway there. And so back around to here. All right, this is not a happy camper in the bottom. Let's try to figure this one out. I'm going to do a top down here. Oh, those are just really lower branches there that are.
Yeah, these upper ones seem to be pretty happy.
Yeah, they're happy. Yeah, the lower branches, I mean, at some point they die. But what's interesting is that on your other plants, they seem to have maintained their lower branches, because I think the branches can live for 6 or 7 years. The needles on any branch can live for, I think, at least 5 years, maybe even 6 or 7. So, whatever. Do you remember what year this was?
This is the most recent.
Oh, 20...
This would have been from the 2012 crop.
Oh, the 2012. Well, that's not bad for 2012. Lord. So it would have germinated in either 13 or 14, and here we are 15, right?
16.
Oh, 16. Right. Duh. Okay, but so it's been 2 or 3 years. And let's go down the whorls. What do we have? And we got no terminal yet coming up.
The top whorl is this year's whorl.
Oh, this is new growth.
These are all new growth.
Okay.
3 individuals.
Yeah, it always does that. It won't ever do the new one immediately in the spring if it's putting out the first branchlets of whorls. It can get another flush later in the summer is what I hear from folks.
Gotcha. So it's putting its energy into the laterals, and then if things still work out, then it goes up. So
right, right.
Below it, the internode is only about 1.5 inches, and the next whorl down has 6 branches, and every one of them has at least 1 new growth. Actually, it has 7.
Okay.
And some of them have 2 new branchlets, so it's either 1s or 2s.
Okay. Are there any basal growth coming out of this?
There's no basal growth. The last whorl down is another 6 or 7 inches down.
Wow.
And
did that grow when it was still in the pot?
No, that would have been here in the ground.
Whoa,
That's
it grew.
its first year in the ground.
First year in the ground? 6 or 7 inches? Good for you.
And that would be the second year in the
good.
ground. And this whorl has 4, and we're getting 1, 2, 3 new, no new.
Yeah, they're on their way out.
And no new.
Yeah.
So I said 3, that's 4.
Now look at all the new growth. That's a heck of a lot of new growth on that compared to the old growth. When you look at it, There's not that much old growth. It's mostly all new growth.
And if you look up, you can see it gets 2 or 3 hours of direct sunlight every day.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. All right, let's go on to the next.
North is that direction over the top of your van toward that blooming mountain laurel.
Okay, and right over behind that dirt pile is where we saw the first Torreya, and then there's a couple down in there, and then we did some more down in there, we did some more down in there, and now we're coming up here. This is a clearing, and we have got Torreya in here. Let's first get the context. Talk about, oh my gosh, we've got three of them in here?
These are 3.
Okay, here's the 3 cages. Let's get the context here. Talk to me about why you planted them here.
Well, first off, these are all 2012s. Mm-hmm. They were probably the last trees I planted because they only get afternoon sun, they don't get morning, and I like to give my best plants the morning sun rather than afternoon. And this little clearing here is for my septic tank drain field. So there should be plenty of water and nutrients for these.
Oh, this is nice. And as we walked through here, we noticed this thing is just fully coming up with obviously early successional white pine babies everywhere. Do you mow or hand mow or just pull by hand?
I don't do it. If I don't like it, I'll pull it up by hand.
Okay, so you'll have a lot of white pines to pull up over the years. Now, what are these trees around us here? Walk to each one and tell me what it is.
This is a red oak.
Okay.
Red maple.
Right here, okay, good.
Red maple. 2 white pines.
Okay.
Sourwood.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Yeah, they're always got that kind of non-straight, snaky trunk.
And in the other direction, another red oak. Here. Lirio yellow poplar here.
Yeah.
A threesome sourwood.
Whoa, wow.
Little red maple.
Okay.
And a southern red oak.
Southern red oak, okay.
And if you wonder if sewage is good for plants, look at this pokeweed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, still single stems. They haven't branched out for the year yet.
Wow.
That's a honker.
Yep, so there's the septic area. All right, so let's get back to the little Torrey here. Talk to me about this one.
Again, it's a 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's got some terminal growth this year. About that much, about a little more than 2 inches. And one lateral terminal.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
And then the next whorl is about 4 inches below. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches. And all 5 of them have several. 2, 3, 4 branchlets of new growth.
Mm-hmm.
The next internode down is another 4.5 inches. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 at that whorl. And 3 of them have new growth, and the 4th does not. There is a basal sprout, or two basal sprouts,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 inches long.
Yep. And no branchlets. Oh, 1 branchlet on that one.
Yeah, one has 1 branchlet,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure there's any new growth on either one of them.
Yeah.
Not sure.
All right, let me do a top down on this. Let's take a look. And this would have germinated either in early, well, we don't know early.
2013 or maybe later.
Yeah, wow, that is a beautiful terminal growth on that. Look at that. That's really beautiful. Okay, so we got 2 more up in this area. Let me get to another position here.
Of all the trees that I've planted on the property, all the torreys, this one probably gets less sunlight than any of them.
Okay. Now, right at this moment, though, look at this. Right at this moment, there is some direct sunlight on it.
There is. And the plant is responding.
Yes, it is.
It has a new whorl of 5 branches.
And does it look like anything is thinking about coming up again? Or again, I think what we're seeing here is that even strong plants, early in the spring, they either put it into going up, or at the very top, they either put it into going up or creating new branchlets for the first time from last year's upgrowth, but they don't do it at the same time.
Well, that stands to reason because the ones that we saw down the hill that did have terminal growth had bigger, longer, slightly older lateral growth.
Right, yep.
Well, on this one, I believe all 5 of these are from last year's buds.
Okay.
They're all 5 healthy.
Yep.
The next whorl down is about 5 inches below, and it has 5 branches. 1, 2, 3, all 5 of which have at least 1 branchlet of new growth, and one of them has 2.
Uh-huh.
The next whorl down is only 3. This one has 2 new branchlets, that has 1, and that has 1. Now let's see if we can find the basal sprout. Yes, there is a basal sprout.
1, huh?
And it is about 3 inches tall.
Okay.
And I don't think it has any new growth on it.
Yeah. We're still a little early to be able to tell with how the young they are as to whether they think it makes a lot of sense to go higher or whether they just start going out more sideways. And this one looks like it's doing both, but really doing a great job of it. All right, I need to do a top down.
Now, even though it's under the canopy, it's definitely getting sunlight.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. You can really see the sunlight contrast there. It just dapples around. Oh, it's getting a little cloudy right now, so it's all fading out. Yeah, that's a beauty. Okay, let's go to the next one.
That's a big nut hickory I planted.
Ah.
Ooh,
What?
ooh.
What'd you find?
I got a magnolia.
Oh, that you didn't plant?
I did not plant this
Ah.
one, and I believe it's an ash magnolia.
Yeah, it doesn't have the ears.
Well, it does. Well, it's got auricles.
It does have ears.
Does that make it a...
Oh,
cucumber?
Cucumber.
So I've got a cucumber magnolia.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. Oh, and this is the first. Where's it coming out of? How far did it have to lean to?
There's no other magnolia on this property.
How did it get here?
A bird dropped it. Ate the fruit, dropped the seed.
Now,
That's how magnolias get around.
Yeah, I was thinking it was mostly box turtles, but
Well, you might be right.
And it could be either a bird or a box turtle, but that is exciting. Yep. Your first magnolia. Yay! And you didn't even have to plant it. Good. And that's going to protect it in terms of nobody inadvertently stepping on it or pulling it up. Look how close it is to our little torrey here. Here, let me get over this side. And what year would this be?
This would also be the 2012
Okay.
seed crop.
These are your youngest ones that you've got here planted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, same thing.
This is a mirror image of that last one.
Yeah.
Four new branches on and no terminal growth yet.
Yeah.
4 on the next node about 4.5 inches down.
Mm-hmm.
1 on the next node about 2.5, 3 inches down.
Mm-hmm.
2 on the next node about 4 inches down.
Right.
And no basal sprouts.
Check that whorl that just has 1 coming out. See if it's got any bumps from how many would have been there before.
This one?
No, the next one down. The one that's only got 1. Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, that whorl. Feel around in there and see, because obviously it's been dropping branches, or maybe it never grew any.
I do see another bump.
Okay, so it used to have another one down there, and it let it go. Any dead branches around it? Or it would have still been in the pot when that was going on.
That one was still in the pot.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let me go and oh, any basals on this one?
No basals. And now that you mentioned dead branches, I have yet to see a dead branch on any of my seedlings that have lived.
Yeah, okay, because something, it might have just put out, you know, one lateral to the side for that year. Yeah. A lot of new growth this year. Look at all that. Yep. Okay.
Place to roost.
Oh. Yeah, this one's leaning a little. But it put out all four, you know, equidistant branchlets up on the top. So whatever it was doing, you know, the last couple of years, it's back into, let's head up, but it is leaning a little bit. Well, it's leaning in the correct direction in terms of looking for sun.
That may be why it's leaning.
Yeah. All right, so we just finished the three that are up in this area. This one and that one over there and that one over there. This is the last one.
There's 16 still alive. I've planted 18 or 19.
That is really, really good.
I believe it's a sunlight thing. I've tried to give them as much sunlight as I can without cutting down my forest, which I'm not going to do.
Right, right. Well, going by
the
the driveway is really helpful.
Yeah. And I intend to thin a little more of the underbrush, so more sunlight will get down there.
Right, right.
But I can't cut down the trees.
Nope.
To plant a tree.
No, no. I want people to know what your association with this region is, and you're working caving now and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, my history with this region is my mother was born and raised a few miles down the road. There are roads and schools around here named after my relatives, my maternal relatives. I did not grow up here. I grew up in North Florida, but I've been coming up here since literally before I was born, when Mama was visiting Daddy. I'm also a caver, and there's a lot of caves in this state, maybe 1,500 of them. All my adult life, I've been a caver, a spelunker, and my relatives who live here have always told me there's no caves in North Carolina. Well, yeah, there are, which I discovered way too late in life for my favorite avocation. But there's two things that bring me up here.
We're always looking for people who have ideas for experiments that would be really interesting. If you had the money and the okay to do it, what would you do to experiment with the Torreya trees, and why?
I would go to one of the national forests around here, and huge acreages of national forest, in a place where they occasionally do clear cuts, or let's say where a crown fire goes through and burns everything to the ground, and I'd plant 10,000 seeds. Now what's going to come up right after that fire, that clear cut, are all these other tree species, seedlings, white oak, red oak, you name it. They will be stiff competition for those torreys, but the torrey has a big seed, has a bigger seed than any of the other species I could name for you. So it does have an advantage, plus it's more shade tolerant, plus it doesn't need to grow more than 60 feet tall. So I believe that's the ideal situation. I don't know it. I don't know that there are the right commensals or fungi or whatever, but I think it would be a great experiment to go up into a valley, say a valley that runs roughly east-west, and plant about 5,000 on the north-facing slope, another 5 grand on the south-facing slope, and stand back and see what happens over the years.
Right, right. I think that's a great idea. We'll post this video on YouTube, and when you and I are both dead in our graves, maybe somebody will come along and do that.
Say hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. May the forest be with you, Buford.
Thank you very much, Connie. Come back anytime.
All right, I will.